Okay, so thank you everybody for coming. So I'm going to introduce this presentation is Young Learners World Exploration at EFL Classes by Svitlana Sharkova and Nataliia Sharkova. Please go ahead.
Konnichiwa. So we are very glad that we can join this conference organized by the Japan Association for Language Teaching. In fact, it is really inspiring that even in the context of worldwide lockdown, we have an opportunity to communicate, share our ideas, and continue exploring this world. So today, as my background picture, I have chosen the painting of a Ukrainian artist, Maria Primachenko, who draw imaginary animals like this one and exotic animals like lions, elephants, who she had never seen in her life. And when eventually she went to the zoo with famous film director Parajanov, she was over 50 years old and was stunned how different these real animals were compared to those she created in her imagination. Still, it is wonderful when we can combine knowledge and imagination, discover the existing world, and bring bright innovations. So today, the title of our presentation is Young Learners World Exploration at Foreign Language Classes. And we will briefly discuss cognitive and emotional development of young learners that should be taken into account, introduce game-like activities that can help children to be active participants in the foreign language learning process. And we'll briefly discuss significant difference in learning outcomes of control and experimental groups within the research study which was conducted in Ukrainian kindergartens, and finally provide some additional resources that can be used for further online lesson designs for young learners. So key points that we should remember: before we start building the house, we should provide solid foundation for upcoming construction. So in early childhood, we start creating such foundation, and later we won't be able to compensate some flaws like pronunciation of certain sounds or speech problems, even in native language. Voluntary processes, regulation of impulsive behavior also start being developed in early childhood, and it prepares children switching from game-like activities to learning, studying at school, pursuing goals. By the way, such hobby as reading books should be stimulated in later childhood, and if it's not cultivated, kids won't read books when they grow up. It should be remembered that a child's development is inevitably influenced by environment, society that gradually sets up higher levels for their skills, for example, abilities to remember more, pay more attention, and adults can help them at the beginning, which is called scaffolding, not telling the answers, but advising: let's look at this again, let's count, let's measure. In order to avoid mechanical, sometimes imitative replies, children should be helped to discover the world, for example, get acquainted with different seasons of the year, along with music compositions like Vivaldi's Summer, Autumn, Winter, with various pieces of art. There should be experiments with water, ice, soap, bubbles. Even in terms of online teaching, children can compare what objects can be attracted by magnet, and they can observe, investigate, test theories, plan their activities, develop problem-solving skills while comparing, making connections, analyzing, so on. But kids, in fact, are not motivated to learn foreign languages. It's their parents' desire. However, teachers can use foreign language not just for introducing new vocabulary, grammar, and speech patterns, but also as a medium of learning that links communication to the understanding of new concepts. That exist in the surrounding world, and that's the teaching philosophy which we would like you to pay attention to. let's discuss some activities that can be helpful to enrich child's picture of the world and to help him learn foreign language better. Natalia.
Mhm. We have arranged EFL activities into topics which are commonly discussed with kids and will demonstrate the designed activities in a framework of each topic. For example, fruits and vegetables. We can give example of an intellectual game when kids have to match different shapes with fruits. For example, banana is a crescent, carrot is a triangle, lemon is an oval, apple is a circle. It is also possible to close their eyes and ask them to smell and to touch fruits and vegetables and guess what vegetable it is. It is also in Ukraine, we have 4 distinguished seasons. So we never eat strawberries in winter, and we can ask, but we eat a lot of lemons and oranges to enrich ourselves with vitamin C. So we can ask them to match what fruits and vegetables we typically eat in each season. Dynamic games. Kids cannot sit still for a long time. No, stop, no, stop, stop, go back to fruit
Okay.
and vegetables. And we can tell them, you are eating lemons. And they show that how they're eating lemons. It is sour and they show their faces. Now, you are eating bananas and they peel bananas and they eat them. Then you are eating grapes. You take one small grape and you eat it. So it can be quite interesting. Then you can provide them with the pictures. For example, half of the apple is blue, half of the carrot is brown, half of the pepper is purple, and ask them, look, is that true? Is it correct? Uh, shall we change anything? It's also useful to give it's also useful to mix correct pictures with the wrong ones. Then we're going to animals. Where animals, kids like animals. A lot of them have pets. So they can ask each other, have you got a pet? What is your pet's name? Uh, uh, you can also ask who feeds your pet. So you can see that grammar is really simple and the speech patterns are simple, but they give kids an opportunity to communicate. Um, Animals. They can group them according to the number of pores, size of ears, length of tails, place where they live. You can say, uh, animals got lost. Can you help them to find places, the places where they live? And provide them with the pictures of the zoo, the farm, the house, the park, or the forest, it's better to say. And they arrange pictures according to the places. Again, half of the picture is colored with the wrong color and half, and they should correct mistakes. Then you can also, when we speak about dynamic games, I ask them, for example, elephant is we're pretending that you're animals. Elephant is drinking water and they show the trunk. So I can see that they understand what elephant is. Then giraffe is telephoning and they show like giraffe is telephoning, the phone is on the top. Then snake is crawling. Snake is really crawling. Then, for example, birds are eating. Birds are eating seeds. So they show everything, and it's even funny to watch how they see the animals with their eyes, because sometimes you can look at them and then, oh yes, that's really true. Then, okay, let us go to the next slide. Coloring activities. Very often we associate colors with some seasons. Everybody knows spring is green, summer is bright, autumn is yellow, winter is white. I give kids a sheet of paper divided into 4 parts with the trees without leaves, just the shape of the tree. And I tell them it is spring. And they draw small leaves in each tree. They show it is summer. They draw big leaves, yes, in each tree. Then autumn. Some leaves are on the ground already, some leaves are on the tree, and so on. What is the interesting? When we learn colors, I tell my kids, we're going to compose a song today. And they're like, what? What is that? I give them sheets of paper with circles and give them colorful pencils and sing a song. Brown and green and blue and white, blue and white, blue and white, brown and green and blue and white, red and black and yellow. And they circle, they paint their circles according to the colors which I pronounce. And then I say, it's your turn. So make your own song. They paint their song and then they perform it. They like it very much and they are very happy at the end because they can compose songs. Then I they like painting. That's true. I often give them a kind of bingo cards with different shapes of objects. For example, a cup, a plate, a table, a bag, and then I tell them, your bag is brown, a brown bag. In these activities, they understand that adjective should go before the noun, and at the same time, you can make a sentence. Your bag is brown, brown bag. When we speak about kids and even about adults, we should remember that everybody has a zone of approximate development, or like Svitlana told us, scaffolding. So you have the core. This is the language which you know and which you can use in everyday life, and you have the language which you can, from the context, you can guess what it means, and you understand it, and at the same time it gives, like, it pushes us forward and gives us a chance in further activities to move to these borders and use more language. So we don't just learn the words, we learn the word sets, we learn the short sentences. They listen and they understand that they can use it in future. Then we can also practice numbers together with colors. Just give them draw a bunch of flowers and say, 2 flowers are red, 3 flowers are blue, 5 flowers are yellow. What is nice is that you don't tell them this flower is red, this is blue. They arrange, they make their own picture. They are very creative, and then they show their pictures. So they are playing, they are using language for life, because they are motivated at the very beginning, because they want to be good to their parents. They, in Ukraine it is fashionable, a lot of their friends go and have English classes, but they cannot learn it. This motivation works for quite a short period of time. You should always support it. The next is sounds. We very often neglect it, but we have this activity really develops the imagination. So we can ask them to guess, is it this city? We can show or demonstrate the sounds of the beach, of the city, of the village, of the school, of the playground, of the zoo. Then we also use sound activities when we learn the weather. the sound of rain, the sound of wind, and it is also dynamic, the source for dynamic games. The wind, they show the wind is blowing, the rain, this is tapping your fingers on the table. Yes, I also I also ask them to guess the sounds of seasons. So in winter you have snow falling, this is one sound. You have birds singing, kids splashing in the water, this is summer. So it is also very useful activity. Let us go on to dynamic games. Um, except those which I have already mentioned, we can say that in order to be attentive, kids can be involved in performing some paradox activities like stand on the chair, sit on the floor. I also use this activity when we learn tableware and cutlery and ask them, for example, to lay the table. They all have plastic tableware, and I ask them, put a plate under the chair, put a glass on the chair, take a spoon in your right hand, put a spoon in your glass. We also do this activity like put a plate on your head and walk. You are walking, and they are not running because they should be careful. Then we can, Simon says, it's also very popular game. Yes, and they should be attentive. Then it is also can be correcting mistakes. You perform one action, but ask them to perform another. What else we do? Clap your eyes or stamp your hands or put your finger on your nose. It's really easy. So some activities which are not typical for them. And if you can see that they are already ready to give their own instructions, you can also tell them, offer them, give them the floor. Nice. The next is daily routine. It's really boring, but still kids should know the logics of different actions. Like first we put on sweater and then coat, and not vice versa. You can offer different pictures where the sweater is on the head, the boots are on the hands, and ask them to correct these pictures to find mistakes. Then the rules for serving the table. um, Usually I bring my kids small pictures with uh, different kinds of food like chicken or hamburger or pizza, and I ask, for example, Julia, give every kid a piece of pizza, and they give pizza. Or Boris, can you pour water to everyone? And they are doing this. Then I would like to tell you about greeting friends and visiting friends. Kids don't know all these rules. They quite often don't know how to say hello, how to greet parents. Uh, you should teach them that you should bring something with you in order to be polite, like a bar of chocolate, or I don't know, if it is a birthday, you bring flowers or uh, anything which is typical to your culture. And then how saying goodbye. So we usually, all of them have toys. They bring their toys and we visit each other. Sometimes we have like Lego, and they can find princess, prince, then bad characters, and they go to friends. Bad characters can show improper behavior, and everybody understands that. So it's very important to provide them with such activities. The next is if I'm virtual traveling. They love traveling. In my first class, I always bring a big map, put it on the floor or on the table, it depends, and I tell them, look, this is our world. let's find Ukraine. And they start, it's very interesting. And then you can say, I know where Ukraine is and what is the capital of Ukraine. We discuss it in Russian, in Ukrainian, in our native language. But then we say, why are you learning English? It is also a kind of motivation. Why are you learning English? For traveling, yes. Where did you travel and where could you speak English? And they tell me it's popular resort in Turkey, somewhere else where it is not a native language. And then we look at the map and I show them where is English a native language? And they show, they tell me the places and we find it on the map. And then I tell them, imagine we would like to go to the USA. Can we travel by train? Can we travel by car? They also like dynamic games. We are traveling by plane. Now we're going to travel. Yes, they sit on the chairs and I tell them, if you want to travel, you need a ticket. In order to get a ticket, you need to answer my questions. And your questions can depend on the topics which you learn. Or you can, for example, what's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? It depends. What's your favorite food? What pet have you got? What color are your eyes? Sometimes we also play the game. It is a kind of spies. They stand in line and I tell, now I'm going to check who can be a spy. They stand in line and I tell them, hands up. Who is the first? This one step forward. And the person who is the first, he can be a spy. But usually everybody can be a spy. Then when about virtual traveling, so they get a ticket. You are traveling first, we're traveling very far. First we're traveling by plane and they're showing that they are traveling by plane. You are traveling by train and they show everything. Then I'm a kind of customer officer. They have imaginary passports. Hello, how are you? What is your name? Give me please your passport. How old are you? Where are you from? Where are you traveling? So all this every day. Do you go to school or do you go to kindergarten and so on? Then they bring their toys.
Do you hear us? Do you hear us? It's just
I'm
2 minutes left.
oh, okay, that's it. I'm sorry.
But thank you. You have actually done the whole presentation because you are really professional. And I can just add that we sometimes can discuss with kids the colors of the flags of different countries and even discuss what these colors symbolize. Wow, so it's very important to correct mistakes, as we said. I will just sum up that research studies that actually you, Natalia, fulfilled in Ukrainian kindergartens with 120 preschool children. I just assisted, showed that if kids are engaged in active in activities that we described before, they can recollect words correctly. It's blue line, and the results are higher than in control group, which is red line. And there are also slides what activities were preferred by kids in control group and experimental group. It's just brief for recording that we have. And in our chat, I also posted helpful internet resources, which we won't demonstrate in terms of this presentation now, but thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience and your ideas, because kids' brains should be trained. And these activities with mixing different approaches are really helpful.